Greetings, everyone. We are drawing to the close of the Africa month. I hope that on the 25th, that is yesterday, most of you were celebrating Africa Day, a day that we respect. We know Africa still faces huge challenges, but we have made achievements since 1963, and we hope that we continue to build on the positives that we have made as Africans and correct the mistakes that we have made as well. For instance, in 2013, the African Union adopted the theme silencing the guns, and the guns are not silent in Sudan, in Mozambique, in Democratic Republic of Congo, in Sahel region, and in other parts of Africa. There are still wars. So it's important that all of us as Africans, we must unite and ensure that there is stability in our continent. Earlier on, we posted a video about the granting of amnesty to rapists in Zimbabwe. These rapists were raping 9-year-olds, girls that are less than 15 years old, but they were released. We condemn such acts, and we are agreeing with the comrade Priscilla Stole and a comrade username who says, "Yibuhlungu le ndaba," and indeed, we must condemn it. Welcome, Comrade Bushlas Ndiweni, and the many of you who have joined. Please post your questions. We try to answer where possible we can, so that we are able to assist each other. Comrade Betty Mohobo, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing your surname correctly. Forgive me. You are saying, in reference to Africa Day, you are saying uh, everyone must go home and study the decision to free Africa. Comrade Betty, we cannot build unity when we define ourselves in the manner in which we're defined by the colonialists. It cannot be. We need to build unity amongst ourselves. This is why in 1963, African leaders came together and said they formed the Organization of African Unity to unite Africans in the struggle for national liberation, in the struggle against the colonialism, in the struggle against apartheid. So we cannot complete our liberation as Africans if we are disunited and define ourselves along colonial boundaries. Comrade Lindo Kumalo is still asking about which a, slot, not a slot as such, but where to submit in Pretoria or let me read. It says, "Hi, Mr. Mapena, which province must I choose between Pretoria and Pretoria ZEP when I'm applying for a waiver?" Say, we said in the previous video that the VFS said they've opened 2 offices for VFS, the original one that was there and another one, but they said in the same location. So you book where they allow you to book, so that you you submit your waiver application. And then Comrade Apan, I can't see the name, but it says Apandana Group says this continent is not free. We have to keep fighting for economic freedom. People should stop voting. That's one of the weaknesses, Comrade Mabuto. Uh, um, you are raising a very important point. We need to discuss it further, the question of voting, because on one hand, we need to elect our own representatives, and agreeing that this person is our representative. So the question is, how do we choose amongst ourselves those that will represent us? And at the same time, elections always bring along with the violence. Many people have died as a result of elections, and the elections seem to be controlled by, in the main, our former colonizers. If it is not our former colonizers, it is the military that controls the elections. For instance, in Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe is a deep state. In Sudan, when we're having our seminar on celebrating Africa Day, the comrade from Sudan was telling us that it is the military that is in charge in Sudan. Comrade Nyasha, he always says, thank you, Bra Mapena, though you say Mangena and Mapena, for always giving us heads up ways to take on trying to legalize ourselves in this foreign land. And South Africa is not foreign, but I understand your point, but it is not foreign. And we always argue that we cannot be foreigners in Africa. I should not see a South African, an Ethiopian, a Rwandese, a Congolese as a foreigner in Zimbabwe because it is everyone in Africa that contributed to the independence of Zimbabwe. Yes, Zimbabwe is going through challenges, but we cannot call others as foreigners in our own countries. Comrade doesn't have a name, says, "Hi, Mr. Mapena. Thank you for your updates with regards to ZEP issues. On the 9th of May, 2023, I received SMS that the waiver outcomes will be sent through an email I used when applying. So far, I have not received anything. What steps can I take?" We always advise that either you wait for them to send it through or you go to VFS and inquire. They should be able to assist you. Um, then Comrade James Bond is right. Comrade Mapena, I'm sure you do not wish this your channel to be a playground. The reason I ask for a reference is that at the beginning of the month, a certain Kibuku from DRC was refused permanent residence by the North Gauteng High Court. He is 19 years old. Both parents are Congolese, and he was born in South Africa and never left South Africa for his entire life. His parents frequently left SA to visit their home country, and they left the child with the relatives and friends. The court reasoned that he was not stateless and should first apply for Congolese passport. The reason he was frequently left behind was for him to qualify for SA citizenship through a technicality and not because he genuinely qualifies. I am not very sure, Comrade James Bond, but thanks for bringing this up. I was not aware of this case, but what we know, which lawyers in this platform will assist us, is that if a child is born to migrant parents, they assume the citizenship of their parents when they are 19. In the case of this child who is now 19, what we know is that they then decide whether they want to assume, continue with the citizenship of their parents or citizenship of a country where they were born, in this case, South Africa. And we're talking to our lawyers last week because there are such cases that we are faced with. So we're to seek legal advice. We are yet ourselves to test this, but we've agreed with our lawyers that we need to test this legally in the courts and see how the courts is going to resolve this matter. So if the High Court has ruled that the child does not qualify for a South African citizenship when they've never left South Africa, we're not very sure what this means. Because when we're having a discussion with our own legal team, they were saying that if a child has not left South Africa since birth, has always been in South Africa, they should qualify for a South African citizenship. And here you are saying the child never left South Africa. That's something that is problematic. We will share this with our legal team and see what their advice would be, because it means that if there's already a judgment of this nature, it means whatever we were discussing with our lawyers must then be in line or should use this as a reference at this judgment. So we'll ask our lawyers to check this judgment out so that they can interpret it to us. Thank you for raising that, Comrade James Bond. And Comrade Mami Mokia writes, Mr. Mabena, children of migrants born in South Africa, they were supposed to have been given registration of birth, not birth certificate. More especially those that their parents were not permanent residents. Those that have birth certificate, while parents are not legal, I think they got them fraudulently and they need to be verified. Uh, I'm not very sure, but I think I've explained what we understand ourselves, because what I know is that if a child is born in South Africa, there's a birth record, a birth card first, then there's a birth record. And if anyone then wants to apply for the citizenship of their children, they have to produce a birth record from the hospital or clinic where the child was delivered. Thank you, Comrade Priscilla Stole. You were wishing us a happy Africa Day, and I hope you yourself and many others enjoyed the day as we continue to celebrate. Then there's a comrade here who's writing. I'm trying to scroll through. The comrade is asking about the application for study visa. We have dealt with this, that the parent must firstly renew their permits, then they apply for their kids so that their kids can then be under them. And then the other comrade, Comrade Philip Borwondo, also asked about the court case. Is saying, when are we going to hear the outcome? We do not know. I'm sure the judge said they were going to advise the attorneys of those that had taken the Department of Home Affairs to court. So we'll wait for them to say, to indicate when they will deliver, the court will deliver the judgment. Comrade Shepard in Mozondo says, good day, sir. Thank you for informing us. Your info is very much helpful. I finished applying and paid online using a credit card and got my appointment date, but I do not have proof of payment. I think we dealt with this one. We did advise the comrade. Um, if we have no any other questions, there's the last question says, hello, Mr. I'm still waiting for a date to book. Are they still open for submission? I'm worried because Pretoria ZEP is fully booked. What must I do, please? We said you pick the slot in Pretoria. There are two offices where you can book, so that you can submit your documents without any delays. The Zimbabwe community in South Africa is carrying out a survey. We will circulate the form later on in the day. We are trying to establish how many people have been able to apply for their waivers. We will discuss once the form is ready. Our team is busy working on the questionnaires that each person should respond to, because we want to engage the Department of Home Affairs based on facts, not based on hearsay. It's important to have your facts correctly, because what we are getting out then is that many people have not submitted their waiver applications. They are still busy trying to submit their issues around the slots, where people are struggling to submit, and in some VFS offices is fully booked up to end of June, as we understand. And the people that are also applying for these waivers will then have to apply for the visa itself. And our argument is that 30 June, if 30 June is not shifted as the deadline, it means a lot of people will be left outside. So we want to present this to the Department of Home Affairs as part of our request for them to consider extending beyond the 30 June so that the majority of the people can be able to submit their applications. So we will inform you later today or tomorrow when we circulate the form, which will request all of you to complete so that we can use it for our engagement with the Department of Home Affairs for them to consider. We will. We are documenting all these questions that you are sending to us, the challenges that you are facing. We are documenting them so that we share with the Department of Home Affairs the challenges that people are faced with in terms of applying so that we try to see if they can consider postponing because in our view, while we understand that the announcement not to renew was made public on the 25th of November 2021, but we must also accept that when that announcement was made, it was not clear on who qualifies to move. Remember that many people who had applied for their waivers were turned down. Then there was an email from the Director General withdrawing those rejections until the minister had applied his mind. Up to now, such many individuals who received the emails from the DG, they've not yet received the outcome of their waivers dating back to 2022. What we're seeing is that the waivers that are being attended to are waivers that were submitted this year. So we want them to understand this confusion so that they should consider extending up to 31st of December 2023. That would be our request to them. But this must be backed with facts. Hence, we'll then be circulating to you this form, that is a survey form that each one of you who's a holder of ZEP should complete. Comrade Cynthia Spanda says, Linjani Mabhena, mina eyama appointment ise-Rivonia ingabe iqondile yini? I have seen some people that are booked in Rivonia. If you are booked in Rivonia, I don't think it should be a problem, but I will verify. I will verify as soon as I'm done here. I will verify and I will communicate later to you, back to you in the day on what the management at VFS says. And then Comrade Jabulo Design says anything on voter registration slots. The voter registration is done in Zimbabwe. What you can do, Comrade Jabulo, is if you want to participate in the elections in Zimbabwe, you can go and register at Bedbridge. When you register at Bedbridge, because it is nearer, you indicate the ward where you are going to cast your vote. Let's assume you are going to vote in Magwekwe in Bulawayo. You register in Bedbridge, then they will allocate they will include your name in the voters roll for a ward in Magwekwe in Bulawayo so that on election day you go and cast your vote there. That's what I understand by the voter registration slots. But if there's any other voter registration slots, I'm not very sure. Comrade Yasha Nyobe says, greetings once, Mr. Mabhena. What are the other requirements for one applying for a business visa besides being a SARS compliant? I've done a video, the video is there. I might not know from the top of my head, but your company must be registered. You should like SARS, your registration of your company. And I think you already have a waiver. We spoke about the waiver, but you can just Google the requirements for a business visa. It will also guide you on what you think the department should waiver so that you qualify. Otherwise, thank you so much. Please enjoy your weekend. I know that Arsenal, Manchester City supporters are celebrating that Liverpool will be playing on Thursday night. We don't have a problems with that. we will be playing on Thursdays night are moments to remember. I was closing, then I will know. I will just read your question or your comment. Says, Comrade Mapena, can someone please help me with the transport man to go and vote when the time comes? Are you a registered voter? Comrade Moments, I had a discussion last night. We met with the comrades. We will then clarify this as we go. We met with the comrades that we're talking about how do we assist the people that will be voting, who are registered to vote. So the discussion was in twofold to say, in 2018, we did carry out what we called in Go Vote Zim. What we discovered was that a number of people that we were talking to were not registered voters. So last night we had this meeting that we need to find ways of assisting those that are registered to go and cast their vote in Zimbabwe. And because there are security issues involved, one of the things that we were discussing was what does it mean if we say register, let's compile a database of everyone that is registered. How secure will that database be? That's what we're discussing, because other people might think that we have ulterior motives in terms of gathering that information, because on the other hand, you have a person who says is a registered voter. You try to raise money for them, they do not go and vote. And what assurance would one have that you fund someone on the basis that they go and cast their vote, but they do not go and vote, but they have taken the money? So these are the issues that we're discussing. I'm also having another meeting to discuss similar things in about 6 minutes time. It's now 24 past. I'm told the meeting is about 10:30, so that we also discuss these issues around the elections in Zimbabwe. I know comrades, some comrades here have always said that we do not talk about elections in Zimbabwe. We do. So in 6 minutes time, I'll be joining another meeting where we are talking about these things. Once there's a proper framework on how we can assist, we will certainly inform you on what is going to happen. Otherwise, let's continue to engage on these matters. Please like this video, circulate, subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, have a great weekend. Goodbye.